Welcome, I'm Tim Scoggins, Chairman of the Shaftsbury Select Board. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:30 on Monday, July 1, 2019. First, let me check. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
No.
I might have an executive session, Ken.
Okay, you can, let's see, you certainly can't vote. This is about Ken's grandson applying for a job here on the road crew. I think it might be best if you were not in executive session for that discussion as well. Is that okay with you?
Well, I was thinking that I didn't expect to vote on it, but I'd like to kind of put in a word for him.
You can in public session. We will vote in public session, so then would be the time for you to put in a word for.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes. I think that's the way it's got to be handled.
Yeah. Dave, does that sound right?
I think it might be best to recuse yourself completely.
Really?
Yes.
Well, he is recusing himself completely.
Yeah,
But-
I know a personal statement as a member of the audience, but
Yeah. But yeah, to be in executive session
I don't think you can be in
is not,
Okay.
it has the appearance of conflict of interest at least, so we have other matters to talk about in executive session, correct? You
Yes.
can be available for those when we talk about that particular hire, then we'll ask you to wait for us up here.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Approval of minutes. Let's see. We've got, I want to say we had 6-3 that we didn't get to last time.
correct.
We didn't have a quorum.
Going to the meeting.
The minutes for June 3rd were circulated. Did everybody get a look at them? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for June 3rd as circulated?
So move.
Moved by Art,
Second.
second by Tony. Let's take a look here and see
I was there.
who was there. Ken, Art, Joe, Tony.
Yeah.
So I guess I missed that one.
You missed that one. I thought
Okay.
there was one.
Any discussion, additions, corrections?
No.
All in favor of approving the minutes for June 3rd, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So those minutes are approved 401. We also had a water board that night. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the water board meeting on June 3rd?
So move.
Moved by Tony,
Second.
second by Art. And it says here, Art, Tony, and Ken were present.
I didn't think I was there.
Okay. Any additions, corrections, or discussion on the minutes for the water board meeting?
No.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So those minutes are approved 302. And then we have minutes for our special meeting, which was on June 20th, because the June 17 meeting, we didn't have a quorum. These were not circulated, but I can run through them real quickly. We just met to do warrants. Meeting was called to order at 6:30 a.m., no conflicts of interest. We approved payroll warrant 25 for $22,625.21, check warrant 38 for $9,750, and check warrant 37 for $93,935.74. No announcements, no public comments. We move to participate in the Vermont Grants and Aid, which will provide $20,000 in highway grant. That was approved. There was a scope of service agreement that we approved for the audit, just signing the contract for the annual audit. And there was a discussion on animal control procedures.
Yep.
And we adjourned at 9 a.m. Any other additions, corrections? So present that day were Tim, Tony, Ken, and Art. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining? So those minutes are approved. 401. And I can stop by and sign copies of the others tomorrow.
It's for June 17th.
That is for June 20. Yeah. Any announcement? Oh, no. That was minutes. Now we're up to warrants. Sorry. First, I have payroll warrant number 26, the amount of $19,677.47.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Tony.
Second.
Second by Art. Any discussion? All in favor of approving payroll warrant 26, say aye. Aye. So payroll warrant 26, the amount of $19,677.47 is approved, 500. I have next check warrant number 39 in the amount of $30,080.24.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Tony.
Second.
Second by Art. Major items on this one. We have $1,500 to Bennington County Sheriff, $1,500 to Cray Printing and Mailing.
That's for the pay-to-go stickers. The stickers for the garbage up at the transfer station.
Oh, okay. Yep. $2,400 to Endine.
That was for the annual, the spring testing at the landfill.
Water testing, yep. $2,200 to Mert Snow for delinquent taxes. I assume that's his fees on that. Yep. $1,100 to Northeast Plumbing and Heating.
That's the water fountain installation purchase.
Dang. That is the dinkiest $1,500 water fountain I have ever seen.
We couldn't believe it.
But we do have water at the at Howard Park now. So.
Happy puppies, I'm told, over the weekend.
$2,100 to Sycamore Landscaping, $7,400 to TAM, $2,400 and $3,600 to William E. Daly. Any other discussion?
Results for the water testing back yet?
Oh, yeah, that's all fine. No changes of significance. That's a preliminary. You all get a copy of the final when it comes out.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of approving check warrant number 39, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So check warrant 39 in the amount of $30,080.24 is approved, 500. Are there any announcements?
I guess just a community thing is the fireworks Wednesday night at Lake Perrin. I know
Oh, very good.
Lake Perrin's not in, is some of Lake Perrin in Shaftsbury, or is it all on
On the board.
board?
Yeah.
But it is, they do a real good job.
Yeah, it's something that people in Shaftsbury would want to see, so good.
Yep,
That is Wednesday?
Wednesday, that's right, before the night before the 4th,
Okay.
Thursday, 3rd.
All right, on the 3rd, good. Any public comments? Yes, sir. Just scoot a chair up would be just probably the best thing.
My name's Pete Levin. I live at 399 Cleveland Avenue, and had a bit of a surprise when we opened our water bill. the metered usage charge was $1,296. Going back, our previous metered charge was $808, 840, 616, 632, and 704. And we had the water guys down and they checked the meter out. They said it was okay, but something's wrong. You know, I mean, it's,
So you're saying it jumped from 800 to 1,200?
yeah, 800. That was the highest one. So I mean, and I don't know. I mean, we don't have any. They came down, no leaks or anything, and they checked the meter as best they could, but you know, they're only going to check it once or twice. You know, who's to say during the winter it didn't, you know, have something zing and run up a bunch, you know, or who knows, you know. But
So there's a chance the meter could be out of calibration.
well, they checked it and they, as best they could, you know. I mean, they're only checking and saying, well, look, it's running normal speed, and probably they took a reading, then they came back a week later or something and said it was normal, but something happened, I think. I mean, there's no way. I mean, there's nobody taking, you know, long shower.
Joe, you live on Cleveland. You didn't see a spike in your water bill, did you?
No.
Okay, so,
Tim, we are the water board, but do we have to call a special meeting of the water board, or can we handle it as selectmen?
it should be handled by the water board. We'll need to talk to the water
I
superintendent.
could leave this with
see if
you.
we can figure
Like
out what
I said, I didn't
happened
think
there.
we'd get anything settled tonight, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to get the ball rolling. And
Sure.
Yes.
So definitely raises
The point
concerns.
is,
Your
we
lowest
can't
is
do
600 and
anything.
something
Is that
gallons up to
right? Is that the way
1,200,
you say it?
almost 13 more.
We can't,
Even though we are the
Mother-in-law
water
almost had a stroke when she opened it.
Somebody leave the
we
faucet
plus
on?
the superintendent are the water
Okay.
board, so,
That's right, okay. So
we would
really,
need-
the superintendent should be here, yes.
yeah, so we'll need to talk to him, see if we can figure out what might be going on there.
My vote is would have him pay the $800 this time and just see what the reading is, the next reading, and see.
Okay.
But that's.
We can, I'll leave this with you, and
Okay, thank you.
you know, you guys don't need, not going anywhere.
Yeah. All right, we will put an action item to look into.
All righty. Well, thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
Have a good night.
Is that your water? Pete? Is that your water?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is Lake Perrin.
That's the good stuff.
You'll find me in the parking lot. Have a good night.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Can't use the coming in the front door.
I don't see any other public here tonight, so we'll go on.
I used to.
Treasurer's report. Our treasurer is not here. She's in concert. She did send some notes along for us, so if, unless Dave has comments, I'll just read her report.
Yeah, and then I can go through any of our other reports.
So it says, cash flow with the final education, reconciliation, and other receipts. We ended the fiscal year with more cash on hand than I had anticipated. We will probably still need to draw on our line of credit, and we are scheduled to sign off on that tonight, as we do every year at this time, to borrow money in lieu while we wait for taxes to come in. Depending on the timing of the tax bills, but not as early or as much as it looked like we needed back in April. Final actual versus budget numbers won't be available for some time, but it appears that this year, like last year, will be almost surgically on target for both revenues and expenses. The same goes for the completion of the garage project. If you haven't congratulated Dave recently, now would be a good time to do so. Yeah, by last estimate, we're, 30 cents over budget or something like that?
$312 over budget on the garage.
Okay, congratulations.
And we're
A job well done.
1/4 of 1/100th of a cent over on the town budget, so it might go up. I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't let that happen again.
On reserve funds, the receipts in the Cole Hall Park and Cemetery reserve funds represent the end-of-year distribution from the trustees of public funds. The garage receipt is a third-party reimbursement. The receipts in the water fund represent payment of semi-annual water bills. The transaction in the sidewalk grant fund was a journal entry Jordan of Sullivan Powers had me do to close out this debt account. Most of the outgoing transfers are reimbursements to the general fund for checks written on reserve fund accounts. Dave, Joan, and I have prepared the annual internal control memo. As in the past, we are in compliance as much as can possibly be expected with such a small staff. There are a couple of minor issues I'd like to take up at the next meeting in an abundance of caution. The line of credit paperwork is available to be voted on and submitted. You will need to sign in 3 places as indicated. I have not yet closed out the year. The check warrant you are signing tonight will apply to FY19, so I'll run the checks tomorrow morning and close the year afterwards. Does anybody want to see the spreadsheets, or are we good with the pros?
She's always right on.
Yeah. Okay, so we should probably then take up what she recommended, which is the signing the line of credit for the money that we borrow for a few months in order to cover things while taxes are coming in. So is there a motion to approve Town of Shaftsbury tax anticipation note line of credit?
So moved.
Moved by Tony,
Second.
second by Art. It's $300,000, which I believe in past years it's been a little bit more than that, like 320.
Yeah, it's a draw. We can take up to 300,000. We don't come close to it ever. And the grant list is on target to be lodged for the first time in 5 years on time on the 26th of July. So the tax bill should go out early enough so that we can really cut back on it this year.
Good.
What's the interest rate?
I think it's 2.5. It's in the first paragraph.
2.5, yeah. Good. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. So that tax anticipation note is approved, 500, and we sign in 3 places. There's a tax form here that looks like it just goes along
It
with
just
that.
goes in the back, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look to have any relevance to us or anything we need to act on. She also has here the municipal checklist, which has about 4 dozen questions. This is from the state, I
That's from
believe.
the state, yes.
Not from our auditor, which is asking things like, is a professional independent audit done annually? Yes, and like I say, a lot of fairly detailed checklist here, which I don't think we need to go through. Like Melanie said, we're in as good a compliance as you could expect from somebody with...
It does require the chair's signature on all the parts.
Okay.
On the part Melanie prepared and the part I prepared.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Roads report.
Hey, Michael, can't be here this evening. We'll just give you a quick rundown of what we're doing this week. We started the roadside mowing. Mr. Hosley, who we had initially intended to mow this year, was not going to. He was leaving the business. He changed his mind and decided to come back, which we're glad he came back for this spring at least. So we just let him pick up where he was. He's doing double passes and back as far as he can. He's working on the west side now. We have our old mower out working on the east side, on roads like White Creek, State Line, Airport, Oak Hill, Trumbull Hill. They'll be doing various roads during the course of the week, getting them mowed back. Hosley will be here for 100 hours. That'll get a good chunk of the town done. And the rest we can just go along with ourselves. The ditching on Cold Spring Road, going to be grading Airport Road later in the week. We're still doing some work moving into the garage and trying to get things like that done. A lot of the trucks have to be inspected this week. And the roller came for the John Deere, so we're installing that tomorrow. And David's going to be working with the installer and getting a practical lesson in how the thing works. So that'll be an interesting addition to the fleet. On the 15th, we'll be opening bids for the reconstruction of the hill in Shaftsbury Hollow. Those bids will go out to contractors tomorrow and be advertised this week. There'll be mandatory on-site meetings next week, and we will expect the bids to be in the following Monday. We're also at the same time doing bids for paving on the Myers Road apron, the North Road apron, and the depression on White Creek. We are going to pull the pavement up ourselves instead of having it ground up. Mike's confident that's a simple thing that they've done with the state a lot. And we can just pull it up, and then the contractor will come in and pave it and do the final grade on it. So that should save money and work out well. We have several more projects. We just applied for another grant for Trumbull Hill, so we can hire a contractor to do that. We would just apply last week for grants and aid, or the week before, $20,000 to work on Cross Hill. As soon as our grants we just finished cleared and they give us the money back, $57,000, we're going to go to bid for a few other projects that we want to get done this year. And the Highway Department's going to take on just two under drains, probably both of the ones on West Mountain are the ones that they'll do. We'll have to do some preliminary digging up there. We're with the state engineers breaking Myers Road up into sections from 7A to Eric. Probably 3 sections that we'll do over a year or two. It comes down to money, how much money we can do. We'll pick the worst section. The road needs a lot of work, so it's not going to be a simple task over there. There's one other place. I can't remember off the top of my head. But keeping moving along as much as we can. We're trying to empty the lot back here by the end of July. I'd like to contact Peter Cross and make that the final date for our using the area back there and have a discussion with him how we would like it, and even if he would like some of our fill, which we occasionally have trouble finding a place to put. It's amazing how much you pull up when you're ditching. So if he would like some fill, we have to put it somewhere, so we can do it back there. We'll have moved all the heavy equipment up to all the empty spots that are now over here because the containers are gone, the crew's gone. And then we're going to stockpile everything in the garage and outside the garage. And we're aiming for probably late August to have an auction here and auction off all the things that are left that we don't want and can't use anymore. That's the most efficient way to remove everything. We need the garage for a while because I have a lot of cases of old documents in there that I'm going to spend because this is a project that's been going on apparently for 12 years. It's just time for someone to sit down and somebody has to just go through this. So I've made myself created a nice little workspace in there to go through a lot of papers. So, but it has to be done because you have to follow the state schedule for retention records. So the garage can't go until I finish with these boxes.
What's engineers deciding on Mars Road to do?
Well, they were up there again today. That's what I mean. This is kind of an ongoing thing. There's been test pits dug. Nothing's final on it.
They haven't made up any plans for drainage.
Not for Myers, no. So that's the thing that we're going to look at. And I asked that they break it up into 3 segments because I don't think we're going to have the money to do all 3. So we can get 1 done in the worst area, or maybe 2 this year. It all depends on what the breaks are with the bids on the other things. We have going into all these projects, about $124,000. So, but Shaftsbury, that hill in Shaftsbury Hollow, I'm not going to say it because the bids are due in 2 weeks, but we have an estimate for that.
Are you talking about, is that Murphy Hill when you say?
No, the part of Shaftsbury Hollow Road from the hideaway up about 720 feet, it just really turned to complete utter mud over the spring.
Yep, okay.
So,
When you said hill, I just,
oh yeah, the hill at Shaftsbury Hollow, 700 feet past the hideaway.
okay.
Yeah, and that really does need to be done. It's probably the worst section we had last year.
Yep, okay.
Of many bad sections, but.
Yep, all right.
That's about it for the roads. The other addition is we'll be talking about later is our replacement employee for the one who moved on, and a discussion of a potential seasonal employee, just so we can keep up to speed during the summer. But I think everything's just pretty much moving along on track. We'll have no problem completing the projects we've lined out previously with the board for this year between now and next June, and maybe some more. It really depends how much money we get from the grants and aid and Better Back Roads and this new consortium that is offering us money to do another project. And we even have, I put in an application for money from the Walmart settlement account, which apparently is going for watershed projects in the Williamsburg Valley watershed. Good for $15,000, I think, so.
Okay.
I have to thank Shelley, our zoning administrator, who runs the Bennington County Conservation District, for providing me all this information all the time. She's a fountain of information on these grants. I never would have thought of looking at the Walmart settlement for the Williamsburg Valley.
Very good.
Yeah, so it depends. We can do more. We get a little bit more money. We do keep coming up high in the grants and aid because we have so many hydrologically connected roadways in this town. And for the municipal road general permit, we're supposed to be fixing, I think 70% of these by 2025 or something like that. The only way any town's going to make that is if the state gives us money to do it. So, hiring the contractors works well because we can deal with a lot of our other issues by keeping the crew working on maintenance and hiring contractors to do the bigger construction jobs.
I think it's, probably want to mention that after the 100 hours of Osley mowing, we are going to rent a machine
Yes.
for the fall time, for late summer, fall.
Yes, we actually signed a contract for that the other day,
Yep.
and we will go back to mowing ourselves in the fall, and we will basically reserve this mower ahead of time,
Yep.
and we will do the mowing in-house from now on, but not buying equipment because it sits for 95% of the year, and we're not responsible for anything. If it breaks, we call them, they come bring us a new one and take the broken one away, so it works out nicely for us.
I'm reminded that we have an action item to post the capital improvement scheduled on the web so people know where construction's happening.
Yeah.
Do we have that schedule yet?
Well, we can warn people a week or 2 ahead.
Yep.
There's no way to predict when any of these are going to get going
That's
before that.
close enough.
Okay.
And there's other things that we've talked about doing. There's signs we can buy that you can change the dates and wording on it, because like when we do West Mountain, there's 2 sections of West Mountain. One's going to be nearly 2 miles in from 7A, where it's just going to be impassable. So we're going to have signs up 2 weeks beforehand, warning people that this is going to be closed. The day of closed has to be marked miles out either direction. Joe has to be notified, the state has to be notified. That all can be done close to the thing. Posting too far in advance, whether everything goes wrong. The aprons, when we do those, the road's going to be completely out of service for the day. So, yeah, but we do want to make sure that we get that stuff posted in advance.
Okay, well, if you can just let me know
Yeah, we get it on
the
the
week
webpage.
before you're planning to do it, and I'll put it on the web.
Yeah.
People can look at
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we do want to let everybody know.
Anything else on roads?
Would now be the time that I would put in a word for my grandson?
We are planning to discuss that in executive session, then come back and vote. So I would say that's the appropriate time. But if you don't want, but I can understand you not wanting to stick around for that. So why don't you do that now? Yeah.
Well, he's been around my construction when I had my business, and he's a good worker. He's a natural equipment operator, and when he found out that he had to get a GED to get out of the town, he actually took leave of work to get the GED because he wants the job so bad. He's a really good worker, and he really wants to stay till retirement, was what he's told me. So.
Okay. And Cody Wilkins, right?
Yes.
Yes. Just so everybody knows who we're talking about. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. If nothing else on roads, then we'll move on to Joe Vatican, Fire Chief, who wants to talk about buying a new fire truck. Come on up.
Okay. Some time ago, probably last winter, Dave and I started talking about fire truck replacements and looking towards the future, long-term goals and whatnot. Just a little bit of history. Back in 2006, 2007, the select board came up with the idea of replacing 2 trucks at one time. And one, because one truck was at its limit and ready to be replaced. And then the second truck was a maintenance nightmare. Just a few weeks before that discussion, I was driving by the building and it caught on fire. Which is a little bit embarrassing for to be. And I drove to the firehouse. So,
That's not why we call them firemen.
I needed water real quick.
Yeah.
So it was decided then we had to get rid of that truck. It was just, amongst all the other stuff that we already repaired or we're going to need to repair. For a small town like this and the budget constraints that we have, that was a pretty big thing to do. Spending $500,000 plus on fire apparatus. So what we had done is we had the money to replace the old truck already in the sinking fund, which we used, but then we leased the second truck. And we kind of knew back then in 2007 that it wasn't something that we wanted to do again. We didn't want to lease. We liked the idea of buying it outright and not paying interest and everything else that goes along with that. So we came up with a plan of splitting the 2 trucks up and how we were going to be able to pay for one and pay for the other. Well, we find ourselves in a position now where we can replace one of the trucks now and have the money in hand, spread out the other truck 3 or 4 years down the road, and through the sinking fund and appropriations from the town, we'll be able to replace that truck again with money in hand instead of leasing it. It will also give us the opportunity of the last truck that we bought to kind of spread that one out a little bit too, so that it's not a huge burden. We're not asking for, $350,000 to buy a truck, and we got to figure out where it's coming from. the sinking fund is able to provide the money that we need, plus the sale of the current truck at that time. So Dave came up with a sheet that broke it down as to what we would ask for each year, as far as, you know, the fire truck sinking fund, what we would need to replace the truck that year, and we were shooting for 2021. Well, we find ourselves being able to do it in 2020. So if you were to order a truck, say today, it's going to take probably about 415 days to get it. So you're actually almost getting up to that point where it's 2021 anyways, and you can get ordered now.
Right.
So I started doing my homework with the help of my guys, and we started breaking down what we wanted and what we needed. We got a very rough figure of $350,000 for a truck. The trucks that we go for aren't big fancy trucks with custom cabs. We usually buy our chassis from Delores. It's close to a town truck. But what we need is cabin space. We need space for our equipment and hose and stuff that we use. We don't have a lot of the bells and whistles that a lot of fire trucks have. And just as a side note, if you look how much we paid for the trucks back in '07, it was $256,000. And here we are, you know, 11 years later, and it's almost $100,000 more, plus a little bit, you know. So they go up 7% a year on average, which is outrageous in my mind, but I don't build them. So that's kind of another reason why I think we're in a good spot right now financially of being able to buy this truck. I gave Dave a spec sheet that I would send out to dealers within, say, an hour or an hour and a half radius. I don't want to get someone that's way down in Pennsylvania and we have a problem with the truck. We got to bring it all the way down there for them to fix it. But if we go just in this area, and like I said, an hour and a half, we have 5 or 6 dealers that we can send these specs out to.
Is this is dealers for the actual pump?
This is for the actual body of the truck.
That's right.
I would like to go with Delores.
I agree.
If I had my choice, but if you can see, the way I've broken this down, what I did first is I came up with a spec sheet that was about 65 pages long. And what it does is it breaks down everything, right down to the nuts and bolts and what kind of lights we want and how we want them to operate. But it's too cumbersome for a truck dealer. All they need to know is what we want. I want this type of a light. They don't need to know all the specifics because it's a waste of time and it makes it very hard to read and everything else. So what Dave is showing here is a checklist. So if they can provide it, they check yes. If they can't provide it or they have an alternative, not all fire truck companies deal with the same brands. They check no, but then they put in their alternative. So we can compare apples to apples. The main thing on these specs, more than anything else, and I harp on it to my guys until they're sick of hearing me, but the truck cannot be more than 9.6 high. So that kind of gives a little bit of a constraint on us as far as what we can get on the truck. And the reason being the doors. We had a truck company that was very upset because I threw their bid out and said, your truck is 910. It's not going to fill inside. So, it's very specific and it's in bold letters. So probably anything on that spec sheet, that has to be adhered to.
Okay.
There's also, on the spec sheet, there's requirements by law that they have to follow. So I want to make sure that that's spelled out for them so that they can say yes or no, they'll do it. And if they don't do it, then we have a spec sheet to go back on it and say, listen, we said you're going to do it. But the final bid packet is brought down from 65 pages to approximately 26 pages. And this is basically what we'll send to the dealers. But they'll have to go by first. Now, the dealers are going to come back and say, okay, we don't offer that, but we offer this, and we'll do some talking and negotiations. But whatever their final price is, that's it. Unless we add something on, which I don't foresee us doing.
So is this the truck right here?
That's our current truck.
Okay.
That's just a picture of what
we've got now.
our decals and what our paint jobs are and what would be required of them to follow.
Okay.
Do you need a motion
Yeah, what do you need?
for them to go ahead and send this out? Is that
You ready to pull the trigger on this, Dave?
Well, we have, I think we still need to discuss the trade-in value of the one we're dealing with.
I've got some estimates for the current truck. It was sight unseen, but anyone will tell you in the state of Vermont that we have the best looking trucks there are. I mean, that's without question. So we're talking probably in the neighborhood of 140,000 to 150,000.
That's good.
As far as
Yeah.
a sale of that truck.
Because we have 339,000 in cash right now. So with
That's,
140, we're ready to go.
that's the retail price of that truck now? Joe? That's the retail price of the truck now, 140,000?
Of the current truck we
Yeah.
have that we're replacing, yeah, that's the estimate.
Actual cash value or?
Yeah.
Joe, what was the estimate of the new truck?
Yes, a new truck, I hate to...
Ballpark, yeah.
Yeah, say 350,000.
Yeah, because that's the one I saw in Maine with something like that.
Yeah, I you know, without somebody having that in
Yeah.
hand, and really going over.
Just for the board, this is in the Dropbox, this document.
Have we ever tried to sell one outright or no?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, that's what we'll do, we'll sell it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about a trade-in.
Once we get a confirmed, because they'll have to put that in the bid packet, a confirmed time for when the truck will come.
Okay.
We'll arrange it so that we sell the truck, put it out for sale. I don't want to sell it now. Okay, we got a long ways to go before that happens. So we keep the truck and then, you know, when it gets closer to time to get the new truck, we'll put that up for sale. And I've got feelers already to some fire chiefs in Vermont that are interested in it and maybe willing to wait until we're ready.
So as far as the new truck goes, it'll take 415 days, you said, to have made?
That's about the average. You see, what you have to do is you order the chassis from International. International makes the chassis because we have specs in front of that that will say, okay, this is what they want. Make it, send it to Glory's. We'll pay for the chassis, which is going to be about $100,000. And then that from Glory's, once that's paid for, it'll go to the fire truck manufacturer, and then the total time of build for the whole truck is about 415 days. Give or take.
Yeah.
And just because this is going to take us into yet the next fiscal year, worst comes to worst, because we were thinking of saving fiscal 21's contribution to this. But if we should need that, we would have cash $400,000 this time next year, and we'll still be waiting for the truck to be delivered. So I don't think there's any question of being able to.
Whatever the difference is, and whatever the money we have from the sale and everything else, you know, that will go towards the next truck. And if it means we have to push that next truck out a little bit, then that's what we're going to have to do. I mean, that's just the way the finances are. I don't want to burden us with a lien. You know,
Sounds like you have the money then.
How much of this that's in this truck, you know, is wish list by the fire department, and how much is mandated by the state?
You know, the state, the federal government will mandate striping in the back, which is not a big expense. You know, it has to be written. Yellow striping on trucks, and it's not a big expense. A lot of it, like we used to carry porta tanks, but we're not going to do that anymore because we never used them. They were cumbersome and they were expensive, and it just took up space. Our truck, we want space. We want to be able to carry all the equipment that we have. So it's cabins that we want. And we want to keep the truck as short as possible, and of course at the right height too. But we also want to keep the capacity of the pump and the water that we carry now, which is top of the line as far as
How often does the state require, or, I don't know how to say this. You see a lot of departments that's got to buy our stuff. Why do we have to have trucks as often as we are? I don't know if you follow me or not, but
I think he's talking about,
how could, okay, say White Creek, they've been known to buy our trucks.
they bought one of our trucks, yes.
How do they get by with a truck that we got rid of and still meet the rules?
So what you're saying is it meets their standards, but not ours.
Just because we need a prettier truck, or
No.
I'm being overly.
I have a very good answer to your question. I feel it's inappropriate for me to say.
Right.
I can't say it now.
But
We sold them a very, very good truck. It was almost 20 years old. 20 years old. We sold them a very good truck. It worked well for them. And, when we sell this truck, it'll be a very good truck for somebody else. But we're keeping ahead of the maintenance on these trucks. We've had 3 trucks from a company that we have never, ever had an issue with the fire truck part of it. Chassis, of course, you have issues here and there.
Right.
With minor issues. Most of it was under warranty, but we had some, But as far as the body of the truck, and I think it's because we rotated, on a 15-year cycle or thereabouts, and we never have those issues. Our trucks are never rusted. Our trucks, the pumps are tip-top shape and everything that goes with it.
Right.
But I also think it's fair to say that the fire insurance companies that insure houses in this area are constantly looking at you and saying, how old's your truck? What's the capacity of it? So on and so forth. So the people's fires rating here in town is set by how new the trucks are kept.
The one thing about Shaftsbury is people, and this isn't a dig at anybody, but the reality of it, the size of our budget, what we have for equipment, what we have for stations and facilities, it really amazes a lot of people around the state. And it's guys that came, 60, 70 years ago that set the bar and the trend for us for me to meet. And I just want to keep that going. It's like the money that we've all spent on these firehouses and facilities over the past 5 years. And if you see what we've got now as compared to how it was kind of eroding, it's the same way with the fire truck. If you let it grow to the point where you start putting money into it, well, that's money lost. And that's absolutely right. The underwriters, when they come in every 3 years, they look at the capacity of our water, our pumps. We got in housing development going in, it'll be here next year. So we're growing, and I just want to keep my budget here and not have to worry about expanding it to try and meet the needs of the town.
I'd just like to make the motion so we can continue on our discussion if necessary.
Okay.
But I make the motion that we let them send the bid package out to the appropriate people.
okay, we have a motion from Mark to send out the bid package for a new fire truck.
Second.
As described, second by Tony. Continue the discussion.
You and Dave got to be commended, seriously. You read in the paper another entire town has to have a new ladder truck. $1.2 million, they got to float a bond. Thank you very much for
Well,
not doing it.
he's done a great job of mapping it out until 2031.
I'm holding you to it.
Well, I said back in 2007, I wouldn't be around for the next election round. I'm still here.
Yeah. That's a good thing, Joe.
But if we could stay to the map, you know, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
All right.
All right. Dave's going to advertise this in the paper also. Any of the truck companies want to
Yeah.
get in on this.
We'll work on some
And
program
then,
to get it
you know,
out.
because we want to give a fair shot to everybody. In the 3 days, is that?
Yeah, 30 days. Well, I'll talk to you later in the week. We'll figure out the closing date you want exactly.
I'll stop by.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to vote.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving sending out the bid package for the new fire truck, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So that motion is approved 5-0-0. All right. You may proceed. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Let's see.
Okay, item 10 is the Southern Vermont Economic Summit. Tyler Resch is here to talk to us about that. That was a summit that was in its third year this year, held at at what?
Mount Snow.
Mount Snow, yeah, I knew that. I was there. I had to think about it for a minute.
Where was I?
Where was I? Yeah. It was around Dover. I knew where it was. We had got a lot of interesting discussion there. There was a kind of a tax theme to the whole thing this year, talking about, which was really kind of out-of-the-box thinking about tax policy and what we incentivize and disincentivize with our tax policy and that sort of thing. At the moment, I don't think we can do much except what the state tells us to, which is based on valuation of property, but there was some interesting talks about other ways that it could be done. And so that was kind of a background to the theme. Tyler approached me and said he was interested in going to it, and we said, yeah, we'd love to have you go and come back and report to us. So, Tyler, you want to tell us what your takeaway on that
So
was?
it's been a few weeks now, and I did give a written report to the board.
Yep.
But to just go over it. In the first place, I wanted to, I don't want to be here without mentioning, you know, how grateful the town is for this wonderful facility and the transfer station and the firehouse. I mean the town garage. I was on this board a few years ago and chaired it for a couple of years, so we know what's involved. And it's just been so smooth and so it's just great to be in this beautiful room instead of the way it used to be. Yeah, I guess I'm a history guy, and what I got out of it historically was that I got this concept of rigid town lines. Back in the old days, every town had rigid lines. Every town had its own school system, its own tax assessment and appraisal and tax system, and gradually the town lines kind of get weaker. First there was a reapportionment did a lot for that. Every towns had to get together with neighbors or the larger towns that had to split up. And then that was followed immediately by Act 250, which took certain zoning or development powers away from the town, put it in the hands of the regional group. And so I went to that one meeting, this session. I thought it was just great to see 275 people there from Bennington and Wyndham counties, from different agencies and organizations. And I thought it was so smart to get together with Wyndham County because my sense is that, Wyndham Brattleboro has been a little sharper maybe than Bennington has in terms of economic development. It's such a seeming good idea to hook up with them. And then the session on taxation, there was a guy from the state tax department there who was talking about not only lengthening town lines, but forming new. They talked about a new appraisal district, for example, for commercial properties. So it's obvious that the state wants to unify, as it has with the common level of appraisal, presidential appraisals. They want to go further with the commercial properties, so they're all assessed equally. So I got to talking to Indini about the appraisals, and just wondered how our commercial properties are appraised, and she said, don't worry about it. Nemrick has done it to everybody's satisfaction. Everybody's happy, and the town is really happy with that. That's all. So this is another, this kind of venture with not only different towns but different counties getting together. It's I think kind of the wave of the future. So this is something I got really good and wanted to go.
I appreciate your comments. I've been involved in the regional economic efforts that have been going on here for a while now, in particular the two-county comprehensive economic development strategy that was just completed recently, so that Bennington and Wyndham counties are focused on the same set of goals and working together for the entire southern Vermont economy. So it was interesting talking to Tyler about his surprise to see all these people from all these different towns and the local and state levels all coming together and talking about the same thing and working toward the same goals. It really is, I think, important, and if we're going to work our way out of our economic doldrum, it's going to happen on a regional level.
And I was pleased to see in Wyndham County, for example, years ago I was acting editor of the Brattleboro Reformer for a while, so I got to know that the whole scene, and then the Brooks House, the reconstruction, revitalization of the Brooks House has just been amazing. And the same guys who were in charge of that are in charge of the project. It's very promising.
Yes, sir. Good. Any questions for?
So what's your hope? Do you think we're going to regionalize in your lifetime?
Regionalize.
Regionalize assessment?
So that's what the state, that's what he's talking about, sure.
God, that would be incredible. That would be amazing. I mean, look what they had to go through for unification of Act 46.
Oh, I know it. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised there aren't riots. Yeah.
The red group, which was the Bennington half of the regional economic development group that was formed to put the SEDS together, is still meeting, and we've been talking lately about what our next step is, and it's been, what kind of regional effort would be, the best thing to focus our attention on, and the discussion is ranging widely at this point, from housing to broadband. Dave and I were talking the other day. One thing that is kind of specific, but it's the kind of thing that could bear thinking about, is something as specific as animal control. A lot of towns are have had trouble finding somebody to do that. One person will, like in our case, Tracy is doing the job for several towns, trying to get that job coordinated into a regional, a county kind of effort is the kind of thing that we don't really have much, and maybe we should think about having more of that kind of coordinated effort around here for economies of scale and just to turn a job like that into a full-time job and make it easier to hire. Okay.
I don't think I have any more to add, really.
All right. Well, thank you.
It was a good experience. And I encourage you to keep on.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, just one last thing here before we go into executive session. I do have some, I've been working with Michael Batcher at BCRC mapping the broadband stuff that we've been doing. Remember, we did a couple of things. We did our online survey where we polled citizens about the state of their broadband, and then we also were able to get the state's equipment and drive all the roads in Shaftsbury and map the cell signal at all the roads in Shaftsbury, and we started to bring that together with some initial interesting results. So what I'm going to show here first, I'm going to show three very similar maps of Shaftsbury. And, first thing here, the red lines are Comcast cable lines. So those are the people that currently have what is the state-of-the-art in broadband in Shaftsbury right now. And then the triangles are places where I identified by really studying the results of the survey as people who were underserved for broadband, and that could have meant a number of things that they, mainly that they indicated that they didn't have good service, or the survey ended up being requiring a little bit of interpretation because it wasn't as easy as do you get internet or not, because people would say, yeah, I get internet, but they're talking about HughesNet, and as we all know, HughesNet is not internet by any kind of modern standard. So going through and picking out, putting together a few criteria, these triangles indicate, places where people are underserved. Of course, we didn't get to everyone in town, but you can see by and large, people that are underserved don't get Comcast cable is the point of this. There are a few discrepancies, and probably on the ground might indicate something, but here's somebody that is real close to this gap, so maybe this point is a little off. But you have things like that where Comcast gets real close from one direction, real close to the other direction, and then there's somebody in the middle who can't get it. So that's the kind of thing we're up against. So that was from the survey, the online survey, asking people how good was their internet. From the cell phone survey, we were able to map the signal from 6 different carriers, all the major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. The one I'm showing here is VTEL, because VTEL also offers to-the-home broadband through their cellular signal. And so this is what you're looking at here is red, yellow, green stoplight kind of plot, where red is not very good and green is very good in terms of internet speed. So this is just me driving the roads, getting no signal out here in the hollow, getting a little bit of signal as I come back in toward town, and then as I drive toward the tower, which sits over here on Buck Hill somewhere, we've got really not very much at all where the signal is in the green and looking very good. But I would point out this area right here on, this is, you can figure out by pattern matching, is Rod and Gun Club Road right in here. And so you'll see that the signal is green here. We have a number of people along here that appear to be underserved. And just one last plot, which I save for last because it's got a lot of information on it. It's a little bit hard to look at. So we're looking here, we're looking at the VTEL signal, which we just looked at. We're looking at the triangles where people are underserved, and we're looking at the Comcast cable lines. And so I noticed that, here's a group of people on Rod and Gun Club Road who don't seem to have very good internet, don't get Comcast cable. There's no blue line going out here, but they're one of the few places in town that are getting a really strong VTEL signal. So if you're on Rod and Gun Club Road, call VTEL and see if you can get internet from them. We're still looking at how to put all this together. I was at a meeting the other day with Peter Welch, who was coming into town. This was over in Brattleboro, and he was talking to a number of people just who were working on the broadband problem, and he wanted to take input. And a couple of people from the Public Service Department that did the cell phone survey, Corey Chase's bosses, were there. And so they said that there is now a long list of towns that are asking to borrow this equipment. I think we were the first to get our hands on it. And the upshot of that is it's probably going to be a while before he gets this stuff online onto this merged into the state database, because it's a significant effort to repopulate the database, so he's going to wait until he gets all of it collected. So I'm working with BCRC to figure out a way that we can get this information onto our website so that people can use it. For example, just the maps of where AT&T signal is strong or versus the Verizon signal versus the T-Mobile signal could tell you, just by looking up your own address and seeing what color dot you have there, which carrier you want to get for your cell phone.
Would you explain the significance of what the governor signed a little while back of getting broadband? That was only, you just could borrow money, is that right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Nobody's going to give us any money.
Yeah, not to lay wires. This bill that Laura Sebelius drove through does help a lot, though. One of the main thing it does is it sets up a part of government, an office, at least a person, a consultant that can help towns scope out what their problem is and figure out solutions to it. So there's going to be technical expertise available to towns, and that's going to be, I believe, the $1 million grant or so that was available in the bill is for that kind of planning work.
So we have to pay for that service? Or is it paid, or does this grant pay that person who then...
Yeah, I think that grant pays that person to help towns solve this problem. Yeah, it creates this office.
Yeah, okay.
And then I believe there's about $10 million in the bill for actual infrastructure that is loans.
Strictly loans.
Yeah. And there's some other provisions in the bill that I'm not prepared to talk about now that I know were designed to facilitate the effort of towns that are trying to spin up their own broadband companies along the EC fiber model and really, solve this problem themselves, that sort of thing. Okay. That takes us to, let's see, other business. Yeah, you got
One
some?
more thing. A few months ago, you might remember they changed the laws regarding the notaries and the town clerks, and the LCT PACSIF wouldn't cover our clerk. That's changed once again, effective today. So I got clearance from PACSIF that they will start covering the town clerk for the professional liability insurance again. So the clerk will start being a notary again.
Okay, good to know.
So we can be back in service with that.
Right. Okay.
I don't want to take a lot of time, but I think we haven't talked publicly about the dog problem and that sort of stuff, and I'd just like to just give an example of why we are so concerned about it. There was a lady that was walking her dog, a Shaftsbury resident walking her dog, and another Shaftsbury resident's dog broke loose, bit her dog, and her trying to separate them, she got bit herself. That should have set a whole bunch of things in motion. There's protocol for this, but for some reason it's breaking down, and this is why we will be talking about it in the future. The dog warden or the animal control officer should have immediately reacted. The lady called us up several days later and saying, I haven't heard anything, which is not right. The other thing that really broke down was the fact that the hospital where she went to have her wounds taken care of should have let us know that there was a dog bite within town. So we're looking into that, why that didn't happen. But the whole thing would have gone a lot smoother if the dog had been registered. The dog was not registered in Shaftsbury, even though it wasn't a Shaftsbury resident. And so it took calling the vets, it took, this was a weekend too. So this is the importance of why we're on this kick about getting all the dogs registered, because it would have been so much simpler if the dog had been registered. Then we know they had the rabies shot and wouldn't have gone through all the problems that we're having now. So it's a health issue. It's not a bureaucratic thing. We want to know your dog. It's a health issue.
Right.
So
Right.
that's my spiel on that. So we're going to be talking about that in the future.
Yeah. Tyler?
Question, you're not being covered by the banner anymore, right? You go to here. How do you get information out?
They have covered some of the things that we've done by watching the video online, but they've also been very responsive when I have written to them with reports on what we've been doing
Cover
here.
yourself.
Yeah, so so we've been writing our own story
That's
to
too bad.
a good
You give
extent.
Powell an awful lot of attention.
Yes.
They have more fun there.
When I was on this board, that same thing happened, and it's so frustrating because you take some actions that really affect people and nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just watching.
Yeah, the paper is, short-staffed like papers all over are these days, and so yeah, we've been when significant things come up, we've been trying to write in. I do the Shaftsbury line column in the paper regularly when we have major stuff happen, but the regular run-of-the-mill, we bought a fire truck kind of stuff has not been making it into the paper the way it used to. You're correct.
Give a lot of attention to children baking cookies and stuff like that.
I am not against children baking cookies. I want to go on the record.
I'm against cookies, but I don't think it needs to be covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler.
Okay, reviewing action items. Going.
I got one more.
Oh, yeah,
I
go
want to
ahead.
ask Dave, you said something about that at Wet Creek Road. Is the state got a plan for that or no?
What we're going to do is we're going to level it out, and then the engineer, and we do have the state looking into that. There's a hydrologist involved in it, and we're going to do a core drilling down, and then they're going to examine it and come up with a plan whether we have to work on the bank or what we're going to do. It's an open-ended question on how to fix that. They're confident that if we basically shim it and level it out, it'll be fine through the winter, and we'll pick it up next year.
So we have their blessing on that.
Yeah, it was they who suggested it because I thought maybe we needed to do something right away, but the engineers and the hydrologists just,
Yeah, it can't. It can't stay that way this winter.
No, we're moving that up as soon as we get the bids in. I wanted to do it because it is just, its position is what worries me.
Yeah.
Bounce right into
I bet there's 3 foot of blacktop in there.
Oh, it's getting deep, yeah.
That was, well, I mean, I put blacktop in there in the 70s.
Yeah, but that was all taken out when Terry.
No, this is up by the corner up there. That's up by the well house up there.
Yes.
Went up around the top.
Yeah.
That was taken out. Terry
Oh, they took it out?
Terry dug all that out, but probably because of conditions down, either didn't go far enough or didn't compact or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was good for a few days after, for a few years after Terry did it. But that was taken out.
Okay.
Yep.
I wouldn't wear that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done. I'm good. Thank you, Tim.
Okay. I carried over some reports on action items from the meeting that we ended up not having. because of lack of quorum, the water fountain in Howard Park installed.
Yep.
We've been talking about consolidating funds. We had a meeting with the trustees on May 28th where they said they were agreeable to pursuing consolidation of the funds. Then we had a meeting with the attorney on June 6th to see what was involved in doing that. We were really wondering, if it was going to require hiring a $200 an hour attorney to comb through all the records in our vault, and it turns out no, that this can be done relatively easily with statements from town clerk saying that she has tried to find the original documents on these, can't find them, and then we can go to a judge and say we've made a good faith effort. So probably with a few, small $1,000 worth of legal bills, we can get access to $60,000 worth of funds that have just been stagnant for decades. So we're pursuing that. David is working on collecting those statements. Dave,
We're on pause with the attorney. She's still looking at the background on the funds. We're waiting for the end of year statements because in what she's preparing, she'd like the exact numbers at the end of the year. And she's going to craft the actual language that these statements have to be in, and however she wants it to be, and whatever she needs them to cover, and then she'll provide it to us. But I was just with her last week, and Rob Storer asked, well, we're closing the year, so why don't I give you the numbers after I close the year, so we're just waiting for that. Then we should be able to see where we're going to go with it.
Okay. And then, so we talked about our plan to post where the road crew is going to be working. We'll just consider that done, and we'll put something on the web when we know it's going to happen a week ahead of time or so. And then tonight, I wrote down that we would look into what's up with Pete Levin's water bill, why it spiked last quarter.
I'm meeting with Jim in the morning. I'll ask him about that. We had discussed this before, so and it so happens we actually are having a leak specialist coming to town for a day, so maybe we'll steer him in that direction. If there's a leak, he's going to find it. That's what they.
Yeah, it'd be, we want to find out what's going on. If we have a leak, we owe it to all the taxpayers. If we do decide to abate this, that just means the other ratepayers are going to pick up and share the tab. So if there is a leak, we need to find out what it is so it doesn't keep happening.
I had a situation down at my house a while ago. You have this float on your toilet tank, and it got so that if you flush the toilet, the flap would stay up and the water would just keep running. And if you didn't happen to notice it and just walked out, you could walk back in there, who knows how many hours later, that's still running.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how much water that can run.
What if it's a meter?
Well, but it doesn't take much of a leak to
Really?
leak thousands of gallons.
Yep.
So it cost me $10 to get the part to fix it.
Right.
It's all done.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we need to make sure it's not something like that.
I'd like to add another action item. I don't care where you put it, but Dave was going to look into the legality of hiring a sheriff to serve a summons for dogs not registered, and the fee of the sheriff would be tacked on to the penalty.
And I'll add on that part of the conversation I'm having with the sheriff is going to sit down and have a discussion on how to better enforce the traffic laws. So I can get more people complaining about it. And we have to maximize what few hours we have. They have to be doing things. We'll pay extra for the dogs, which is fine because we'll just charge them for that. But people are coming in about, And, it's like, oh, thanks, you got the sign, like on Twitchell Hill over here, the sign was there, the sheriff was there for, a couple hours this day, a couple hours that day, but then, like, they're gone. Joe, I don't know if you've seen the sheriff over on your street, but they were supposed to be over there.
Haven't seen them.
And it's hard because, you're only there for a little bit. And the guy could have been there for 3 hours when you were at work, It's hard to say, but I read all the reports and I would kind of like to see a little bit more blue lights and enforcement to kind of get the message across some of these places. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Have they put that radar sign on Cleveland? I don't know.
On Cleveland, no, because the complaint on Cleveland, it's not really going to affect them. They might even go faster at it. But on Twitchell Hill, it helps because Twitchell Hill is a place, you're coming down, you can easily drift up more than you think. So that's kind of a reminder.
That helped me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That got my attention.
Yeah, because it is easy. It's a long, straight hill. It's easy to ride up on that. And I was asked about speed tables, formerly known as speed bumps, but nobody in this. We used to install them in New Jersey, but apparently it's not a big thing here.
Well, with
It's quite effective the first time you hit one, I can tell you that. But yeah, it's not really practical here. And in the winter, you'd have to take them out anyway, because it would be a nightmare.
No, we're good with the snowplow. Yeah, you drive the snowplow.
It melts the snow off your blade.
Yeah, just clean the blade out.
Like your teeth out here now.
Okay, so we are talking entirely about hiring in our executive session on the road crew tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
A little brief on employee evaluation, but it is all about hiring.
Okay, so Ken, I think we'll go
I'll
into
take an
that.
early out.
You can take an early out. And I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues relative to hiring on the road crew.
So moved.
Moved by Tony, second by Art. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we are into